Well, good morning. My name is Beckee Garris. I am a citizen of the Catawba Indian Nation, and I'm going to show you some of the steps of having to make a longleaf pine needle basket. Okay, so to start with, you find the longleaf pine needles. So to start off with, you have to harvest your pine needles off the tree, and then you have to set them aside and let them dry just enough to where they're still malleable, but not so dry that they break whenever you start weaving them, because that's actually what you're doing. You're going to be weaving a basket. And so you would start with I'm actually using artificial sinew on here because I just found that I like this better. I do have some raffia that Nancy Basket, a Cherokee basket maker, who has come down and graciously taught us how to revive these. But for time's sake, I'm going to start with using 3 pine needles. On here I have taken the ends off, and then you wrap them together, and then you start sewing. Start at one end and go to the other end to sew them together so that they don't come unraveled. And once you get to the end, you bend the needles to start forming a base. And sometimes you can go to the other side to pull it through so that it will catch and hold it tighter. And then you come through the middle of the ones that's not wrapped, and you go back over to the other side and pull it, and then you start on the side, what I call the green side, to hold it together. And then you just keep folding it over and start doing the same thing on the other side. And you hold it with one hand while you're sewing it with the other so that it won't be so loose. And this takes practice to be able to do that as well. And as you wrap, you sew to the last row that you sewed on there, and you can either go straight to the other one, or you can go in the middle, just depending on how tight and that you want to pull it. And to be truthful, this is the hardest part to be able to do until you get kind of used to holding it in the right way. Because I've had some that I thought I was going to be really smart and skip the drying process, because it really will go around faster if you use the pine needles when they're green and first off the tree. But the thing about that is they'll dry after you've sewn it, and when they dry, just like anything else, they shrink, and so it will become very loose. And you can either dry them outside, weather permitting, stretch them out on a screen wire, and then every once in a while you go out and spread them out more, flip them over so that they'll all be dried at the same consistency. And that also you have to do by trial and error to where you know when it's to the drying stage to where it will still bend easily without breaking. Do this. And that's how you start. Now, here's one that I've already been working on for a while. As you saw, this one only has 3 other bundles of pine needles. This one has 7. And once you get used to it, actually 7 is a lot easier to work with until you get to the point where you have to feed more needles into it. But once again, once you start doing it and start getting your process down to how you want it to do it, it gets easier. And you also saw on the end, I took these off. On this one, I didn't. But that means you just have to wrap a whole lot more on it to make sure that it stays. And also with this one, I sew through it in a group of 3 and then go over. But you also have to make sure your thread doesn't wrap around your needle too. But like I say, it's almost like a trial and error way of what works best for you when you're doing it. But also, I have through Nancy's instructions that even if you have pine needles that have gotten too brittle, you can wrap them up in a wet paper towel for an hour. And then you can use them because that puts the moisture back in there so they're flexible. But I also did it just to see if it would work. I put them down in a cup of water where it covers up just where the ends of them are together. And what you'll do is you'll start, and you notice I didn't take the ends off of it either, so on this particular one, that you start feeding but also you keep, when you add one, go to where the last sewing that you did to it, push it up under that one to kind of anchor it. And then you add it. And then when you get to the end of where you're getting to where the thread is about to run out, don't wait till you run all the way out. When you do a bend, just have that much out of it. And also when you first start, get a larger needle, and that way you can have larger sinew, because this is sinew that I've taken apart, so it's thinner. So it'll go through the eye of my needle. Or if you're using the raffia, which is, you know, a plant that's been turned into thread. And you leave this much out on the end so that you can bring it around and connect by not tying it, but holding the other two together. So when you start sewing the one you're pulling through, the end won't come all the way through. It's tying it without tying a knot in it. And then you just keep adding more and more as you go around until you get the size of the base that you want.